2022 was a great year for movies, so I think it's time for me to stop and look back at them. Hey everyone, SW Nation here, and this video is totally late because I was supposed to upload it back in January, and I had everything done, but here we are with my list of every single 2022 movie I saw ranked from the worst to the best. Now, this is going to be a very long ranking, so strap in, get some snacks or whatnot, and just enjoy my video that was supposed to come out 5 months ago. With that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on the screen right now. And also note that everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. You're free to comment down below your favorite movie of 2022 or your entire ranking list. Let's get right into our ranking, starting off with number 45. Kicking off my list at number 45 for me has got to go to Night at the Museum, Cameron Rises Again. This is a Saturday morning cartoon. It's 25 minutes. It's just stretched to an hour and 25 minutes. This is just stuff to fill the Disney Plus content requirements. It was announced at Disney Investors Day, so of course they're just going to put it out. But honestly, I just was bored by this. I did not like this at all. I've never even seen Night at the Museum, and I can tell those movies are probably better than this one. Number 44 is Ice Age: The Adventures of Buck Wild, another film that is just a product for Disney Plus announced during Investors Day. The animation isn't consistent with the rest of the franchise. The voice actors didn't come back except for the Buck voice actor, and this just feels like a lazy excuse to revive a franchise as a Disney Plus product. All in all, this is the worst Ice Age film ever. Number 43 goes to the 355. I was over the moon excited for this film when I first saw the trailer during Black Widow. I gotta say, every trailer sold me. The central idea that there are these female agents in every country in the world and they unite for a common threat just intrigued me. It felt like a nice spy thriller with Sebastian Stan in the mix. Unfortunately, while the action sequences are pretty cool, the story is familiar, and the worst part is the movie's message clearly is negative towards men. I have no problem with it being a female empowerment movie, but they're just showing the exact same thing with every other girl power movie. The manipulation that men have over women. The difference is here, the villain was abused as well. The villain, was abused as well and forced to do the mission. But yeah, men bad, women good. 42 is Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2 Roderick Rules. To be honest, my thoughts on this are the same as the first a year ago. It's just the animated retelling of the book. It doesn't take the liberties as the live action film, and the brotherly vibe isn't as charming as that film, and that is my favorite Diary of a Wimpy Kid film. I wasn't bored by it, I just am indifferent about it. 41 is Me Time. When I first saw this trailer, I thought this is going to be a fun comedy. This is going to be so much fun. Kevin Hart is my favorite comedian, so seeing him is always a fun time. Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart, why not? The problem here is that the movie is just not funny. The ideas, the concept, the could have been was better than the actual execution. Kevin Hart just has this kind of dry thing going on in this movie, this dry humor, which he's not really known for, in my opinion. And Mark Wahlberg is just an idiot. If all else failed, if this movie made me laugh, if it just made me chuckle at least 3 times. Because I'll admit there was at least one joke in this movie that made me, at least 2 jokes in this movie that made me laugh. It would have went up a bit. Unfortunately, overall, it just wasn't funny. Kicking off my top 40 list for me has got to go to Bob's Burgers, the movie. The animation budget is better than the show, but that was expected. The shadows, the aspect ratio really helped this movie a lot for me. But I am not a fan of Bob's Burgers. I'm a Family Guy, American Dad, Simpsons kind of guy. This show isn't for me, and I figured the movie wouldn't have been either. And true enough, it wasn't. It plays like an episode of the show, a musical, and a murder mystery at the same time. But there was only one song that I honestly liked. The mystery wasn't that intriguing to me, and the show isn't funny either. One thing I will say, it had a nice summer feel, and the amusement park at the pier being the final battle was actually pretty cool. It made me excited for summer vacation when the trailers came out. But if I was a fan of the show, maybe this would have went up higher. Number 39 is Catwoman Hunted. This is a DC animated film. I was excited for this movie solely because I love DC animated content. I was intrigued by the animation style. It had this anime type look to it, but the film's story fell short for me. Batwoman's inclusion was unnecessary, And the character of Catwoman seems like she should be in a smaller cat thief story, and this film goes bigger than that. And by the time I was finished, I just didn't feel anything. 38 is Pinocchio. Some say soulless, others say unoriginal. To me, I have never seen Pinocchio, the classic Disney film, or even read the book. So I watched this movie, and I thought it was pretty charming. And Tom Hanks is great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiminy Cricket is perfect. But the clips I've seen of the original 1940s film, this movie follows the exact same story, which at this point is expected for these live-action Disney films. I feel as though if this movie was good, it would have been better received. But that's with any content. And unfortunately, to the general audience, to the critics, it just did not work. Number 37, Jackass Forever. I'm not a Jackass fan or watcher, so while watching this movie, I've never been so disgusted in my life while watching this movie. So many penises. So many destroyed, bruised penises. This movie has extreme stunts that are hard to look at, and you are at the edge of your seat watching them. But I didn't laugh. And for the most part, it was just an uncomfortable experience that makes you cringe and hold your own balls in the process. Number 36, Morbius. This is not a horrible superhero movie. It's not even a bad movie. I thought it was okay. And I was pretty excited for this movie. It was always in my top 10. This movie was cool, dog. It was cool. The action sequences for the first 2 acts were pretty fun, and the concept of a doctor by day turning into a vampire that kills people by night is so much fun. Him experimenting on himself and researching his own self, that was what I signed up for. Unfortunately, there's not much about this movie I could defend or criticize. It's just there, and it happened. It's not bad, it's just generic. But this is the worst post-credit scene I have ever seen in my life. That brought it down a couple notches. Number 35 is The Lost City. Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock's chemistry is so much fun, and he's not a complete idiot. He's not the idiot stereotype, and she isn't always the independent, strong woman character. Their stereotypes don't make their characters. Daniel Radcliffe is a fun villain, and especially because I saw this film within a couple of months of analyzing and watching every Harry Potter movie, so it was nice to see him grow up. The only problem here is beyond the first act, I instantly became bored with this film. All of its best moments were spoiled in the trailer, and out of the 3 films that came out this year starring Brad Pitt, Sandra Bullock, and Channing Tatum, Sandra's was unfortunately the worst. Number 34, Green Lantern, Beware My Power. Green Lantern is an awesome character, and I was incredibly excited to see this hero come into the Tomorrowverse, especially with it being Jon Stewart. Like I said, I'm excited for all DC animated content. I love it. Green Arrow is fun, and introducing Hot Girl is cool. But overall, what they did with Hal Jordan just didn't sit right with me. Hal dies, and I'm not a fan of it. He's evil inside of this movie, and I guess that's related to Parallax and the Yellow Ring, but I just wasn't a fan of it. I want to see Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in the same universe, and I would rather see them interact as both Green Lanterns than just having Jon Stewart or just having Hal Jordan. While I am ready to see more of this universe, I was really disappointed by this film. 33 is The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. I love the Ninja Turtles. I love both the 2003 and the 2012 series. But this is a series that gets a movie? I love the ideas of the Turtles having mystic powers. I mean, my action figures also have elemental powers, like Leo has lightning, or Donnie has water, Raph has fire. But this film does a lot of things with the Turtles that just doesn't sit well with me. Raph being the oldest isn't that bad, but him being the leader and Leo being the wild one is weird to me. In fact, every turtle besides Raph has the exact same quirky, wild personality, and it doesn't make Mikey special anymore. The film doesn't make any huge mistakes with the story, but the character personalities are terrible to me. Because like I said, 3 of the 4 turtles have the exact same personality. They're not different anymore. The only difference is the color of their bandanas. 32 is The Death on the Nile. I was pretty excited for this movie too, only because of the fact that I like Gal Gadot and I just wanted to see more movies at this time. So I was like, well, Gal Gadot's in it, Letitia Wright's in it, let's watch it. Not much to say about this film. It's such a meh movie. I enjoyed the mystery and the atmosphere of it and the scope of it, but man, I can't tell you a single thing I remember from it. In fact, I only watched it because, like I said, my celebrity crush Gal Gadot is starring in it. Kenneth Branagh is pretty good at directing this film. I just don't remember it. Number 31 is Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor was a beast from Ragnarok to Endgame. This movie takes everything you love about Ragnarok and makes you not like it. If the comedy was at 100% in Ragnarok, in this it's over 500. I have previously compared this film to a Saturday morning cartoon where Thor has to save the kids from the Batman gore. Not to mention how they completely butchered the God Butcher himself without showing any actual God butching. Thor: Love and Thunder is an enjoyable movie in a sense and very well watchable. I own it. But it goes so much into parody that I feel like Taika Waititi just took the first draft of this movie and then just started rolling cameras. Kicking off my top 30 list for me has got to go to Hotel Transylvania for Transformania. I fairly like this franchise, but this movie to me is most likely the worst. The animation is fluid as ever, the story is fast-paced just like the rest of the films, and it offers a great story about Dracula retiring his hotel to Johnny and Maeve in this Freaky Friday-style way. I like the body switching, all of that. The problem here is the film feels like a distant cousin to the rest of the franchise. Once your star Adam Sandler is no longer playing the main character Dracula, anyone stepping into the role just feels like they are doing an impression of Sandler's impression of Dracula instead of making it their own. And honestly, that's what it feels like here. This is so unfortunate, but 29 for me is Lightyear. I was very excited for this film. It was in my top 10 list of the year. Toy Story is a big part of my life and childhood. Toy Story 4 is my favorite Pixar film. And I saw Toy Story 3 in theaters, and 12 years later, I see Lightyear. It's described as the movie Andy saw, and that inspired him to ask for the Buzz Lightyear toy for his birthday. Well, if this is that movie, Andy was smoking because it is not good. Obviously, the animation is incredible, like Pixar does. It's $200 million. But they made some weird choices with the villain that I wasn't crazy about, and the side characters are annoying for me. And for the most part, it's boring. I don't think 9-year-old Andy saw this character study and said, hey, I want a toy from that film. I was expecting a big, sweeping space adventure action movie that just showed Buzz in the light of a 90s action hero. I didn't get that. And instead, I got the worst Toy Story film. 28 is The Gray Man. The Russo brothers are back, and this movie's plot is not that good. I wanted to love this movie. It had Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, the Russo brothers, and a freaking $200 million budget with the writers of Infinity War and Endgame. And let's not forget Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Captain America: Civil War. Those are the writers and the directors of those movies. And they're teaming up with Chris Evans again in this $200 million budgeted Netflix film starring Ryan Gosling. It had everything for success, except the story. The action sequences, though, just don't stop. They're perfect. It's as if someone gave the Russo brothers a drone and they just went crazy with it. There's sweeping action sequences every 10 minutes. I mean, the action set pieces, in my opinion, are great, but it don't mean anything. They don't mean anything to the story. It's just noise. It's just plenty of guns and shaky cams and zoom-ins and drone shots. There's no impact to the fighting. And I'm not joking. They are fun. It's high-octane action, but that's what only brings it to a 28. At 27 is Turning Red. When I first saw this movie, I thought, oh yeah, Lightyear's definitely beating this. I'm surprised as ever to see that Turning Red beat Lightyear for me. I thought I didn't like this movie. I found it meh at first, and I guess I still do, but I find it okay now. Just a little bit okay now. The animation is pretty. I love Pixar's animation, and the metaphor for Turning Red could mean a lot for women and teenage girls that could find it relatable. Me personally, I didn't find this movie that relatable. Understandably so, I'm not a woman, and I'm not a 13-year-old girl that wants to go see a boy band. So other than the mom conflict, this wasn't relatable to me. It's just an odd film for me. I enjoyed it, and I guess that's it. At number 26 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Guillermo del Toro takes on Pinocchio was very different. It's mature and dark. The movie handles the idea of death, life, and experiences in a mature way that I appreciated, but I don't love this movie, and I definitely do not think it should have won Best Picture. for animation. The stop motion animation is beautiful, though. It truly is cinema. And at times, it could get pretty tragic and sad. And there was multiple times where I was watching the movie and I just thought, you're making me not want to watch this movie again. I don't want to come back to this. I'm not itching to rewatch this at all. I think once is enough for anybody. 25 is Marry Me, J-Lo and Owen Wilson. Not the ideal couple for a rom-com, but alright. I watch rom-coms too. Not really. I just really wanted to see this movie when it came out in February, and I just didn't get a chance to see it yet. So I enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable rom-com. Nothing wrong with this one. This one in particular is just so generic and formulaic and unoriginal that I kind of love it. It's cheesy and corny, and I don't buy into this at all that J-Lo would marry Owen Wilson, even as a fan. At least I was invested, and I gotta say, J-Lo and Owen Wilson are a fun pair. It's more of a date night movie than anything else. Number 24 is Ticket to Paradise. I don't have that much to say about this movie. I mean, for those who have seen it, you guys understand. It's a fun movie with Julia Roberts and George Clooney. Their chemistry is great, in my opinion. There's not much to say about the movie. I just found it to be a feel-good film featuring these veteran actors that give some gravitas to their roles as parents that just wants to stop their daughter's wedding, and it's all of it is just fun. I can't really the atmosphere, the background of where they're at. I just think all of it is just a really feel-good movie, in my opinion, even though the two lead actors hate each other in the film. 23, A Madea Homecoming. Medea's back and is R-rated. Tyler Perry puts back on the drag for Netflix, and this might be one of his funniest and best Madea movies. I will admit that there is a character here that I didn't care for and found pretty annoying. Kind of Tyler Perry's bag of tricks, pulling in the white character that doesn't understand social cues and ends up being racist a lot, and it's just his same old bag of tricks that he keeps going back to. This movie is just like the rest of the films, except there's a fun twist in there that made me appreciate it a little bit more. 22 is Violent Night. Santa Claus goes on a murder spree to save a family of hostages. Count me in. It's strange that I was even that intrigued with this, but I enjoyed myself. Santa even has a character arc in the film. While it's R-rated, I never thought this film to be cynical with the idea of Santa in any sense. Santa is real, and Santa cares about delivering joy to all the kids in the world. It's just the fact that the kids have taken the joy out of Christmas for Santa. Admittedly, though, once you get to the novelty of Santa killing folks, then there's not much else that really intrigued me. Day Shift is number 21. This movie is bad, like really bad. It would be at the bottom of the list. Like, the plot sucks. The side characters are annoying, and Jamie Foxx's acting isn't the best in this film. And I like him as an actor. The action, though, is what made me love the experience. The action sequences are incredible. There's just so much fun just seeing Jamie Foxx with a gun mowing down vampires in a cartoonish way, even if the rest of the movie couldn't live up to it. Number 20, Jurassic World Dominion, another cinematic fast food treat. I had a blast watching this movie. As the finale, I think it did a great job bringing the old and new cast together, even if it was pretty weird to take one of their dino experts and put him in a lab for the entire movie. The plot is also very weird as well. Like, why is it about, like Sean Chandler says, evil apple instead of the rampage and wonder of seeing the dinos in our worlds, like it was advertised? Number 19, Minions: The Rise of Gru, a true underdog story. It's so much fun seeing Gru as a kid, and I think that's why I think it's better than the first. It's a villain origin story, and whereas the Minions are main characters, they work the same as the rest of Despicable Me films do, as a nice spice to Gru's character arc. I also like the idea of an older villain just losing their prime and just taking Gru underneath his wing and teaching Gru the ropes, and that's really how Gru got most of his villainy. It's a true origin story, like I said before, and it's so much fun just seeing Gru rise to become the villain that we see inside of Despicable Me. 18 is Uncharted, a fun swashbuckler with epic action and likable leads. I knew going into this movie, it wasn't going to be the best movie ever. So I went in expecting an enjoyable time, and that's what I got. I had fun with this movie. I truly did. Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, I wouldn't know the difference anyway because I don't have a PlayStation, so I never played any of the Uncharted games. So this is my example of Nathan Drake. But he does not sell me as some kind of don't trust me thief or even a Nathan Drake type character. I don't know. He doesn't sell me as that. And Mark Wahlberg, on the other hand, felt like he could be this fast-talking liar. And in my opinion, it works. They also have this whole theme going on where you can't trust anybody. And I thought that was really cool. Because, yeah, I think when you're all going for treasure, you can't trust anybody in this sense. So everybody's kind of on their own. I like that quite a bit. 17 is Black Adam, another film that's bad, but I had a blast with. The Rock looks cool as hell in this role and seemed to be having a whole lot of fun. The straight up carnage Black Adam does in this movie is incredible. I don't know, it's just something about our protagonist killing people for the entire movie. He just does it just because he wants to do it. Like, literally just one guy's like, please don't do it. And then he's like, okay. And then he just throws him, kills him. But sometimes you just want your bad guys to be bad guys. And The Rock wanted Black Adam to be the misunderstood hero. Arguably, this is the most the DCEU has been connected. And that tease of Henry Cavill Superman at the end got me really hyped for the future of the DCEU. Unfortunately, it bombed, and now we won't have Henry Cavill Superman. Thank you, DC fans on Twitter. 16 is Cheaper by the Dozen. I don't have that much to say about this film. It's just going to be a quick summary. It's a charming movie that is heartfelt and warm and shows the true meaning of family. It doesn't matter about blood. Some kids are adopted. They are a blended family. It's just such a feel-good movie. You can't help but love the cast. There are touches of racism, which is granted because it's an interracial family. But again, this movie is nothing less than charming. 15, The Bad Guys. DreamWorks came out this year swinging with a fun caper that was fun and enjoyable. Like I said, it has this James Bond feel that really attracted me to it. It's a simple premise, but DreamWorks makes it work with this voice cast and stylistic animation choice. The Bad Guys is just really good. Forgot it was a book I read back in the 1st and 3rd grade, though. Like, I went to Walmart one day while the movie was coming out, and I looked at the book, and I'm like, The Bad Guys. And I went through it, and it has the same characters from this movie trailer that I saw months ago. I'm like, wait, it was a book? I read this book, and now there's a movie coming out about it. It was so strange. That was one of my slow moments. And number 14 for me has got to go to Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I have never seen a single Chip 'n Dale episode. I didn't even know they were like the self-aware Disney characters. But the idea of them being washed-up actors coming back into the fold because their friends and other Disney characters are becoming bootlegs, I love. Peter Pan as the villain, I loved. He's washed up. He's an old pot-bellied guy. I mean, just seeing all of the different cameos and such, like Mantis and Pumbaa, just I loved seeing stuff like that, and I feel like this is the movie that you can do stuff like that. We have Chip and Dale in 2 different styles. One of them is in a CG style, and the other one is still in 2D. I thought all of that was just clever. The film is fun, and the novelty of seeing these Disney characters, like I said, like Peter Pan in this light behind the cameras, was just perfect. I loved this movie. Number 13 is Elvis. Elvis is incredible. I'm not a fan of his music, but this movie made me listen to his music. While I know most of the movie is just glorified stuff, watching this full story of Elvis's life was surreal. Like, I literally just sat there in the bed watching on the HBO Max, and I was floored by the editing choice, but also just the dazzleness of it. It was at a point in time where I wondered if the actual footage of Elvis was really the same actor that plays him. And speaking of Austin Butler, he does a great job playing Elvis. It was nice seeing an unknown because all I could see was him. All I could see was Elvis and not any other character he's played before. But I kind of wish that they addressed Elvis in a more realistic light than the Elvis is the superstar light. At number 12 is Dog. I like Channing Tatum in this movie, playing a veteran that is struggling with PTSD. And it goes right along with the dog who's also struggling with PTSD. As a dog lover myself, I found Channing Tatum finding love in this dog, like I said, with PTSD, just warmed my heart. See, the dog's owner dies in combat, so Channing Tatum decides to take this dog on a road trip to go to the funeral. Come to the end of the film, the dog is about to die, as in they're going to put her down. And when he turns around and against all odds takes her away to a new home to live with him, the tears in my eyes began to swell up. Channing Tatum's directorial debut was emotional, funny, and just truly heartwarming as a dog lover. At number 11, DC League of SuperPets. Again, I am a dog lover, and when I watch this film, I think of my own dog and the love that I have for him as well. But also the movie has a familiar story wrapped up in a whole lot of heart and humor. And that's more than just poop and pee jokes for me. Kevin Hart's character Ace the Hound, he has a tragic backstory as well. Crypto, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays Crypto, and he's great in that too. And frankly, I think this is one of the best movies featuring the Justice League that we had. Probably since Zack Snyder's Justice League, but then again, that's HBO Max thing. So yeah, this is probably one of the best Justice League movies we ever had since animation. Kick it off my top 10 list for me, it's got to go to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I love this movie. It's a love letter to all Sonic fans, and for that little second grader in me, he was jumping for joy the entire film. Idris Elba as Knuckles is a standout. He knocks it out of the park, and Jim Carrey steals the show once again. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first film that I had a smile on my face the entire time from beginning to end. I saw it in the best circumstances possible. I saw it with my mom and surrounded by other third graders and other fourth graders, fifth graders. Just kids that love Sonic as well. They were laughing at all of the jokes. We saw every reference, just all of it was just fun, and it was such a great experience for me. I loved this movie. Number 9, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is definitely a character study focusing on the negative traits that Stephen Strange has that he sees and believes that makes him a hero. What I mean by that is his over-reliance on him needing to hold the knife every time. Him believing that he needs to make the hard choice, when really he doesn't. And that's a negative flaw, and every multiversal Stephen Strange has that flaw. This film also begs the question for its characters and the audience, are we and can we be happy? The horror aspect was pretty cool. The camera moves very fluidly thanks to Sam Raimi's direction. That's why I really love this movie. And Scarlet Witch is a standout to me. She's an epic villain. I just love this movie. Number 8 is Bullet Train. This movie is freaking awesome. Think of a bunch of assassins ready to kill each other, doing cool things on a speeding train with the backdrop of Tokyo. That's how epic this film is. The action never stops, and when it does, it's still just as frantic as the rest of the movie. It's just so high energy, high speed. I love this movie. It's such a ride that you never want to get off of. Everyone has a backstory. Everyone connects to one another. The film, like I said before, is just pure frantic action. 7, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Truly a triumph for the MCU. Now, it's not the best MCU film. It's not even the best Phase 4 MCU film to me. But Ryan Coogler crafts an incredible story with stakes and huge emotion that also pays tribute to Chadwick, that can stand on its own as a film inside of the MCU. Ryan Coogler had his hands tied behind his back. They put him in the corner, left him nothing. They put him in the corner with nothing but a pen, a pencil, and a heavy heart. And he still came out with a film that I just love. Unfortunately, it goes on for a little bit too long. But as the emotions swell up, when we finally get to see Shuri as Black Panther, I can't help but say that I got a little bit emotional. And number 6 is Avatar: The Way of Water. Speaking of too long, this 3-hour film is entirely too long. During my watch of this, I can't even lie, I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the theater while watching this. Now, it was only because of the action scenes of it. Now, you're maybe wondering, why the action scenes? Well, that's just because I just found the action scenes just to be noise to me. I don't even think I like the first Avatar, but I like this one quite a bit. But besides that, this is a cinematic treat to be seen on the big screen. The deep themes of family was the best part for me. James Cameron returns and brings us with him to Pandora again, filled with spectacle and marvelous CGI. Kicking off my top 5 list for me has got to go to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I love the Shrek franchise, and I love Puss in Boots. I saw Puss in Boots in theaters back in 2011. Puss in Boots is back and in a new animation style, and this may means that Shrek 5 can be in this animation style, which they've already announced, I'm pretty sure. It has this 2D and 3D kind of thing going on that the bad guys had, and I appreciated this new style a lot, and it worked to bring this fairy tale come to life inside of Puss in Boots. But the best part about this film is the character arc of Puss running from death. We've seen Puss in his prime before, so him having panic attacks showing that even our great fearless hero Puss in Boots that we've known since 2004 is scared to die. He's down to his last life. That ups the stakes, that ups the ante, and that also ups the emotional core of Puss. Figuratively and literally, death is coming for Puss. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish focuses on what you love about the Shrek franchise, but also takes it into new directions, new heights. And besides Shrek 2, it's the best of the franchise. At number 4 is Glass Onion, a Knives Out story. Knives Out is a pretty interesting murder mystery to me, and I love it. Glass Onion is better than that. If I love Knives Out, Glass Onion, I super duper love. The twist 1 hour into the movie was incredible storytelling to me. Rian Johnson takes everything you like about the first Knives Out and creates another murder mystery party with a message that doesn't hit you over the head with how awful all of these people are. It's just enjoyable, it's fun, and it's satisfying, and it's better than the first. The cast is likable, even though they're pretty awful people. But that's what Rian Johnson does really well inside of these Knives Out films, inside of these Knives Out murder mysteries. I really enjoyed myself this Christmas. Kicking off my top 3 list for me has got to go to Intergalactic. This is an animated album from Kid Cudi, just made as a movie. It features his songs from that respective album as well. I'm not a Kid Cudi fan. I don't listen to his music that much. I really had no hype for this film. What attracted me to this movie was the Spider-Verse-like animation style. But when I saw the trailer and the over-reliance on weed and different substances and drugs, I was just turned off. It felt like another black people animated movie where they just have an over-reliance on weed and alcohol. Until I actually watched it. And it's incredible. It's a fantastic story. Pretty cliche, but it's a fantastic story about 2 young black artists finding love in each other and dealing with new experiences, first dates, old exes, and all of it culminates in a beautiful representation of black love that you rarely see in media today. My runner-up at number 2 is The Batman. This was at my number 1 until my number 1 came out. Finally, we get a full-on detective story for The Batman. This was my highest anticipated film of the year, and it did not disappoint. I don't think it's the best Batman film. There's at least like 2 more that's better. But as a Batman fan, I went to go see it at 8 o'clock and got out at midnight. So basically, I found that midnight screening of it to be euphoric. Visiting a lived-in Gotham, and every character and every story is intertwined. Again, as a Batman fan, is everything that I could ever want from a Batman movie. But coming in at my number 1 for me has got to go to Top Gun Maverick. It's just that good. I was not excited for this movie at all until I heard that it made $1 billion in June, and I'm like, I want to see it now. I want to see what the hype is about. And it made me more excited for this film. All of the good reviews that I was hearing from John Campea and Sean Chandler, that it is the perfect summer blockbuster. It takes what you want from a movie like this and amps it to 100. It's not the most original story, but I think what gravitated people towards this movie is the old-fashioned spectacle with incredible entertainment value. Tom Cruise said, "See this in the theater," and when I saw it in that theater, I instantly fell in love. They actually put actors in fighter jets, had them learn how to fly these jets. It just shows that Tom Cruise cares about the craft of movie making. And this even further interests me into filmmaking as a major for school. This movie's just filled with heart and spectacle. Top Gun Maverick comes in at number 1. Alright guys, that is it for my ranking. Please know that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion, and you are free to comment down below your favorite movie of 2022, or you could just comment down below your entire list. I don't care. This video is late. Do whatever you want. I'm putting it out. Oh well. With that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on my screen right now. And yeah, excuse the late videos. It is what it is. I will see you all next time. Peace.